Hi guys, what's up? Give me 1 second. Let me figure this out. Just want to hear back if everything is visible. How are you guys doing? There's a slight delay. Why is it so much delay? Why is it so much delayed? The connection is. I'm on literally low latency. Okay, this is working. Audio is coming. Okay. Oh, there is a 20%. Okay, there is a 14% frame rate drop. But at least I'm moving nice and smooth on your screen. Design Fusion has officially started. Design Fusion Season 2. Let's go. Where is the hype? Press 1 if you're excited. Yesterday was technically day 0 because we were just figuring things out and because Rajat sir आगे वाले days पे free नहीं थे तो हमने सोचा कि संडे को फिट करा देते हैं यार डिजाइन फ्यूजन में डिजाइन सिस्टम ही नहीं पढ़ाया तो फालतू में थोड़ा मस्ती नहीं हो जाएगा लाइक विदाउट डिजाइन सिस्टम मतलब ऑब्वियसली वी कुड हैव लाइक done this session with anyone from the panel but we wanted to get Rajat sir because his work is credible, right? And that's how you guys will get some crazy things. Why is the one coming so slow? Oh wow, there's a drop rate. Okay, no, everything is fine. I think my phone is not getting cool internet. Okay, got it. Are you guys excited? Are you guys ready? Should we swap our screens? I think a lot of folks are still traveling. They will watch the recording. Yeah. How was your day, guys? How was Monday? I love YouTube more because obviously, yeah, it's much more easier for everyone to communicate. Quite slow. Okay. Let's start. Awesome. Let me switch quickly to my main screen and let me go to Nikalank sir. Hi, sir. Hello. Nikalank sir.
Hey, how's it going?
All good, sir. How are you?
Good. As good as can be on a Monday evening.
Perfect. So, guys, I hope you all are ready and excited because we have someone very amazing, my legendary guru. His name is Nikalank Jain, and like I know the story. I have listened to it 5 6 times, but I'm always up for one more time.
Sorry, there is a little bit of a lag.
Yeah, I think उसमें 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 थोड़ा सा lag होगा. You can. Am I audible?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I think there's a drop. Uh, Okay,
Can you hear me now?
there's a slight, there was a slight network interruption. Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. All right. So, sorry, you said let's start with an introduction. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, should I present or?
Yes, you can start right now.
Okay, let me know once you can see.
Done. Yes, sir, it's
Can you guys
visible.
see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, great. So, yeah, I mean, I can imagine Gyan on a 7 p.m. Monday is not always the ideal thing. So I want to thank you guys for taking time out. I think, this is an hour when you want to go home, you want to chill with your family and friends. For you guys to sit here and willingly listen, I think is a great thing. And I hope that this hour is worth it. Let's keep it interactive as I always want to. And I'll start with a very simple introduction about myself. In 3 words, I'm defined in people, music, and coffee. People motivate me. I like to solve problems at scale for people. I've been doing this for almost 26, 27 years. Coffee and music keeps me awake and makes me capable of doing all the things that I promise during my waking hours. The rest of the things you can find on LinkedIn. It's got a detailed history of what I've been up to for the last 2.5 decades. And I mean, in short, I've worked in all formats of design. I've been an entrepreneur. I'm now with a product company. I lead chapters of excellence at digital in Vodafone Idea, and I've also been a freelance, contractor. I've worked with McKinsey. I've worked with clients across the globe. So pretty much a dinosaur in the space. So if not what to do, I can definitely help you avoid some of the pitfalls and mistakes that people tend to make in their journeys. And so once told me that I should be sharing things with perspective of the competition. So I thought, I'm a little bit of a nerd, a little bit of a geek, so I'll share some content with you, and I'll try and run through the content really quickly so we get more time to interact towards the end, and we have a good enough like 20-25 minutes for Q&A. Is that good, Vansh? Okay, cool. All right, so my screen is visible to you guys, yeah? Okay, cool. So, like I said, our time today is participatory. So I would say that please keep writing your questions and then posting them in the chat. We've got somebody looking at it, and I'm also trying to keep an eye on it. In case I miss, you can always send them to me on LinkedIn, and I'll try and do whatever justice I can to answer them. This is a no judgment session. I mean, there's no right or wrong. I make mistakes even today. I'm also here to learn as much as you guys. So please feel free to give me feedback as well on what I can do differently or better. And like I said, our time today is not just about the session. I'm more than happy to answer questions beyond today. I will be on the panel for the competition, so I'll try and do as much justice as I can and be as scientific about the feedback as I can, so that there's a lot of learning from you for you guys. The content and structure today is mainly from my life. It's basically all the mistakes that I've made and all the successes that I've had. So some of the things that I consider learnings and I keep in my back pocket at the time of any assignment, any project that I get onto. Yeah. And the idea here is that you guys can take as much advantage of this as is possible. So keep that in mind. Yeah. Now, if this was an interactive session, we would have like actually had this conversation face to face. But I know now it's a little limited to, a one-way conversation from my side. But what do you think design thinking really is? You're more than happy to post that in the chat, and I'll pick up the comments from there. And I really want you guys to understand what this is, because this is going to really help you in the way you approach any kind of problem solving, any kind of project that you work on. And this is one of the it's one of the most abused terms, according to me, in the industry. People use it very loosely, and they tend to make it overly complicated. I think if you fundamentally understand this, it'll change the way you live. It'll not just change the way you work, but it'll really help you make decisions faster. It'll make you a lot stronger and confident in the decisions and the consequences of your decisions. So I think this is why give this a little bit of a thought, and feel free to ask questions and make sure that you try and really understand this at a conceptual level. Yeah. Okay, so I'm hearing a lot of lag. I think I hope that is improving, Vansh. Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to switch off my video? I can do that if that helps. Okay, cool. 1 second. So I hope this makes it better. Yeah. Cool. So design thinking is a process in which we combine the process part and framing way strategy. Okay. Yes, it's process problem solving. Yeah, that is a great way of saying it. Yes, it is a process of problem solving. Design thinking, standard step-by-step process. Okay, are you guys just copy pasting from the internet? Don't do that, right? Don't chat GPT this. Don't copy paste from the internet, because you may not be able to get as much value. But pretty much there. And I've kept the content a little basic 101, because I didn't know the kind of crowd that's going to be coming in. I mean, it's going to be a mixed bag of freshers and some seasoned professionals, maybe some students. So if you already know a lot of the stuff, still go through the motion, so that if there are any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer them more specifically towards the end. Okay. One of the biggest things about design thinking is it's like walking, right? Now everybody walks, but everybody who walks is not fit, right? So everybody who understands design thinking doesn't mean that you're going to be able to use it to its fullest extent, unless you really really practice it every day, right? Walking can help you only if you know how to walk, when to walk, how much to walk, right? And what shoes to wear when you're walking, things like that. So design thinking is very very similar. There is a way to practice it, there is a time to practice it, there is a way to walk away from a situation, come back to it, and things like that. And we'll talk about some of that towards the later part of the session. But fundamentally, what I'm trying to say is that it is as simple as walking. But if somebody told you to get fit by just walking, you know that it's going to take a lot more than just walking around randomly, right? I think we'll. Okay, so let's see how we can do this, right? So I've put down a little bit of history in terms of how design thinking really happened. Then we'll talk about what it's broken down into in terms of parts. The important 5 or 6 parts of the process, and then I can tell you that, okay, fine. In case of your problem or the problem statement that you're going to get from Vanch, how exactly can you break that down and really leverage this process to come up with like really amazing solutions, right? A little bit of history dates back to 1960s, where design, art, science was kind of coming together, and people were trying to understand the real differentiator in their products and services, right? And that's when the science behind the art actually started getting articulated by the professionals, right? Fast forwarding to the 80s, the early 80s, and the early 90s, that particular decade, you started seeing a lot of different kinds of products and services which were more focused to an experience, which were more focused to touch, feel, human sentiment. All of those things started happening, and that was purely because there was a lot more research that started happening around what do people really want, how do we really differentiate ourselves from the different products and services. And there were some pioneers in the space like Apple, Nike, who were actually really spending a lot of time with consumers, doing a lot of experiments, on their products and services, and they started becoming really, really cult brands where they started having really deep followings in their customers, although they were premium brands, and so they became very aspirational in that sense. And then fast forward to it actually becoming like a course and a curriculum today, where it's now being formally taught in schools and colleges. And there are some people who actually made this more possible. Is a company called IDEO, which actually put a framework around this, and made it really simple for people to understand and bring it to their everyday problem statements and everyday life. And obviously David Kelly, who formed the D School and really formalized the curriculum around it. And then there are many many institutes which are today going around teaching this as a subject and a framework. Now, on that, my recommendation is that if you're doing this, please do it this from a good institute, because otherwise you'll get a lot of content, but you will not really know how to put this into practice. Yeah. So a lot of this content is out there on the internet, so you can take screenshots of this, and you can start googling this, and you can start putting your notes together, because it'll really help you get some context to what design thinking is. Yeah. So in terms of process, I think I really like the way IDEO articulated this. I think there's a little bit of a lag between the screen changing for you guys. I think there's about 4 or 5 seconds, so you'll have to just bear with that. Um, yeah, now you guys are on the. So if you guys can look at the slide now, the 6 core steps of what I do actually put this together. The first one is frame the question. There's a saying that if you frame the question well, almost half your job is done right there, because the solution starts shaping up and starts showing up the minute you've been able to at least understand what the actual problem is. Now, when we'll talk a little more about framing the question and what that really means, but the idea is that it's not just one thing. It's about what is the problem, who is facing it, why is it a problem, do solutions around this already exist? has somebody tried something and failed? If they did, then why did they fail? And all of these things. So it's multiple questions coming together to frame that one question that you're actually working towards, right? The second one is gather inspiration. Now, this is only going to be possible when you look outwards, when you take the pressure out and you don't think about everything that you know, but how can you get inspired by people around you, by the content around you. So, and I always encourage this: ask a lot of why, what, who questions when you get a particular problem, right? If you have just designed a new vending machine, okay, so what are the vending machines out there? What does the industry look like for vending machines? What is the technology in vending machines? What kind of vending machines are there? What all is being served through vending machines, right? From electronics to food to chocolates to gold bars in Dubai. So gather as much inspiration, create mood boards, and create mind maps, because that is where a lot of your ideas are going to come from, right? If you don't do this part really well, then you're going to start getting a lot of blocks, and you'll start getting frustrated. And that's why I always say that always have sounding pads. Always make sure that you can go to a complete random person, and motivate them to sit with you and just answer a few questions for you, go through what you've put together. And when I say random, try and make sure that they're some sort of a customer so that they give you some relevant feedback. Otherwise you're going to be wasting a lot of your time. But yeah, gather a lot of inspiration from where you'll be able to generate a lot of ideas. Ideas are good and bad only when they've been tested, right? So don't fall in love with ideas that you're coming up with. Don't shoot out ideas on your own. Just put down as many ideas as you can and get into the process of wireframing them, or putting pictures together, or doing some sort of prototype and getting some sort of feedback. A good idea or a great idea is only so based on feedback. It's not what you think, it's not what you know, it's not what your best friend thought, it's not what your professor said. The person who actually is going to use your product or service, how are they reacting to it, right? So, and that's where making it tangible counts. You cannot get feedback on a verbal idea. So don't try and explain your idea to somebody and say, hey, what do you think? No, try and create a prototype, try and create an experience where you see people's genuine reactions. That is feedback, right? That is going to tell you where you're going right and where you're going wrong. And that's where the testing part of it comes in, that's where the learning part of it comes in. You're going to be able to understand that, okay, fine, maybe if five people are saying this, there's a pattern here, and I need to change something, I need to tweak something, tweak it, and then go back to the same people, go back to new people, right? And then you'll be able to understand whether it's really working, not working. One pro tip: if somebody pays you for your product or service, that is the best and only validation. If you ask people what they think, you will generally get very vague feedback. But if it's a product or service, and you ask a question like, okay, are you ready to book it? Okay, how much would you pay for this? That's when you'll start seeing real feedback, right? So a lot of times what tends to happen is we start creating a lot of our own internal biases while we are testing, and we start hearing what we want to hear. We'll talk about empathy a little bit later, but it's very important that you remove yourself from feedback. Your ego should take a back seat. You should be able to hear all kinds of feedback and react only to what is value. Okay. Now, once you've got this, put your product together and scale the story, right? Then you actually start delivering to the customer. Then you start doing all kinds of marketing and go to market activities. And that's when you start getting some real market feedback with how many people are buying it, what they are saying about you on things like social media and all that. And then you go back to framing the question. So for example, if people love your product, you don't stop. You figure out why do they love your product, and what about that love can you scale, right? So you go back to framing the question from the feedback that you've gotten. So this is not it's a loop. It's not a one-way track. It's not that once you've scaled your story and you've got success, that's it, right? The best time to innovate is when you're actually successful, right? Most people land up innovating when they're in a ditch, and that's when you're restricted in a lot of ways, because you've got time crunch, money crunch, people crunch, and all kinds of things. So the best time to innovate is when you genuinely are in a place and when you're ahead. and that's when you have a lot of freedom and you have a lot of peace, and you can actually go back and do a lot of tests, and you can do a lot of prototyping without being scared of failure, right? You're going to be very scared when it's going to be actually no way out kind of a situation. Okay. Now, another way of looking at this in terms of, like, if you just look at a digital product, right? If you look at designing an app or building a website, then some of the things that you have to keep in mind. Now, we spoke about empathy, we spoke about definition, we spoke about ideation, right? So this is just more a different visual representation of really listening to your users, hearing what they're saying, looking at how they're reacting, looking at what their day looks like, when are they going to and how are they going to use your product, right? And then defining a problem statement, ideating with them. Another tip I can give you is, don't ideate with just another designer. Try and ideate with somebody in technology, try and ideate with somebody in business, try and ideate with somebody in production or in implementation. I'm telling you, the best ideas are at intersections, right? Two designers coming together and building something versus one designer and one technologist versus one designer and one business person, you'll always see much greater success, right? So, and this is not to throw any shade on designers, but this is basically to say that any two kinds of intersections, that's when sparks get created, and that's when you find most of the magic. Yeah. Sorry, Harsh, I'm just going through this really quickly. So if there's anybody who's asking a question, just keep it in mind. Okay. All right, cool. One second.
Yes, you are visible. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that I see people finding very difficult in my experience, right? And I've tried to put them down as five or six things, seven things that you guys should really, really focus on, and that's going to really help you get to the really magical solutions for the problem statements that you're working on. Okay. I think there are some people in my team who are on the call, and they'll keep me honest. I say this to them a lot of times: discipline eats talent for breakfast. Okay. It doesn't matter how talented you are, it doesn't matter how knowledgeable you are. If you're disciplined, you'll do much better than the person next to you who's talented, right? And is indisciplined. And make your rules, stick to them. I make a lot of lists. The minute I want to do something, I start doing pros and con lists. I start doing task lists. So I write a lot of things down on Excel sheets. And believe me, that really, really helps. I mean, it doesn't make sense right now, maybe probably to you, but the more you write, the more lists you make, the more disciplined you are in terms of your timelines and in terms of your targets. And you always work backwards. Always put a goal ahead of you. It's okay to miss a goal, but it's very dangerous to not have one, right? So make notes, make plans. You can always go back and edit your plans. You can always go back and say that, okay, hey, I may not be able to do this in 24 hours because I've now got some new information. I've got some new ideas that I want to work on. And but you need to show up and you need to tell your stakeholders that, okay, I need one more day. I need 48 more hours, because here is what I've been able to do, right? And again, one more thing: manage or you'll be managed. I mean, this is true for actually dash or you'll be dash. Like, whatever you want to do, you have to make sure that you're in charge and you're ahead of it, right? And that can only happen when you've got this content in front of you, because we tend to rely on memory, unknowingly, and that's when things start getting messed up. And we tend to rely on conversations, and that's when things got getting messed up. The minute you've had a conversation with someone, put it down, send it in an email or an SMS or a WhatsApp or whatever. And this is not because you're being formal, but this is because you have something very strong to go back to, right? You have something very clear to go back to. So being disciplined in problem solving, extremely important, right? And the more you write, the more you'll be able to understand the journey of your problem solving. So you'll know if you've missed something, where did you miss it, how did you miss it, why did you miss it, and then you'll be able to course correct. Otherwise, you'll always get into he said, she said kind of conversations and situations, and that's just going to take more time away from you to be able to solve the problem. Yeah. Empathy. This is one of my favorite topics. I think people tend to think this is something that you can switch on and off, and that's very, very untrue, at least in my experience. Either you're empathetic or you're not. And empathy is like, again, it's like staying fit. It doesn't happen if you don't practice it. You have to be empathetic time and again. You have to be able to be empathetic when not required. And it's not a sign of weakness. Most people tend to think of empathy as a sign of weakness. It's not, right? It helps you with a lot of courage, to be honest, right? Now, what does empathy really mean? It means the ability to be able to listen to something without you in the situation. When somebody gives you feedback and says this design is shit or this solution doesn't work, the minute you start defending, the minute you start reacting to it or answering instantaneously, you're not empathetic, right? The feedback, try and understand, even if the person is making you the object of the feedback, and that why have you done such a bad job, or your work is this, remove yourself from the situation, see what they're saying. I know it's very, very difficult because sometimes you just want to whack the person who's not understanding the effort you've put in, and it happens. But you're truly empathetic when somebody tells you something and you're able to very calmly and very genuinely immediately ask, why do you think so, or what do you think could have been better, or where have you seen something that works, right? So you try and get a context of what your user or what your investor or what your colleague or what your technologist is basically trying to tell you. That can only happen when you're calm inside and you know for a fact that nothing that is going to be said is personal to you. Even if they're being personal, it's up to you to be able to just pick that up and pull it out. Yeah. I mean, I say this again all the time. The third point, very, very important. Storytelling is crucial to everything. And sometimes storytelling is absolutely everything, right? So I want you all to really work on your listening skills. If you really want to be a great designer, if you really want to be a great problem solver, your ability to listen will define your success, right? And when you're listening, I'm not talking about just listening with your ears. I'm talking about listening to the body language, listening to the tone, listening to how many people in the room are saying it, listening to why people are saying it, right? Listening to who is saying it, and things like that. So another framework that I have, which can help you really, take ideas in, take feedback in, turn them into ideas, is ask questions, take feedback, listen to what is being said, re-articulate that in your own words to yourself. Okay, remove all the emotions out of it, keep the scientific facts. Okay, then see how does that turn into an actionable insight or a task or a feature, right? And once you've been able to do that, then again analyze it with a larger audience, not just yourself. Take that act, take that feature, take that prototype again to somebody else, try and get their feedback, and then complete the cycle. Okay. Storytelling is going to help you in each and every step. Okay, storytelling is a skill that we have from the day we are born. We start by negotiating for a diaper change, or milk or chocolates as kids, and then stories and movies and toys. And unfortunately we keep losing this skill as we are growing up for various reasons, right? So a huge part of storytelling is basically being able to keep the child inside you alive, because that child knows how to negotiate, that child knows how to listen, that child knows when to bring in what, to be able to motivate people towards a particular goal or a solution. Yeah. I'm running through the content, so sorry. I'm just going to take a pause for the questions. I couldn't understand what you mean by starting backwards. Okay. I'll just take that question right now. um, I didn't mean starting backwards. I said start with the end in mind. So for example, if the problem statement is that I need to design a vending machine, then for a particular client, and I'm saying this because I have done this as a project, so that's why it's kind of popping in my head again and again. But so for example, the project was how do we design the uh, how do we design a new age vending machine? Vending machines are very boring. People have already seen them. They're used to. So how do we design a new type of vending machine while keeping the experience as simple as you put your money in, or you tap your card, or you tap your phone, or you GPay, and you get your food and you get out, right? But what can you bring in from a digital, and a hybrid experience standpoint that can make that really, really a rich and a memorable experience? That was the question. That was the problem statement. Okay, now when do we want this? We want this in 3 months' time. How much time it'll take you? About 4 to 5 weeks to produce this. Okay, so that means 3 months from now. That means I only actually have 2 months, right? So beginning with the end in mind is understanding my targets, my timelines, and then seeing what all needs to be done to be able to get there, right? So, and sometimes it helps you in snapping out of a loop that you're stuck in, right? Because sometimes it's very important to be able to take that decision and say that, okay, fine, I cannot spend more time on this than this. Or if I need more time, then I need to go back to the client and say that, hey, listen, can we push the launch by 30 days, because there is some new information that can really help you get a next level solution. So that's what I meant by saying that always begin with the end in mind. You can always change that timeline or that target, but you won't be able to if you don't have that clear clarity. I hope that helps. Yeah. Impact comes from insights now, and insights comes from information. So, and information comes from you writing down almost everything, and anything that you think is of value for a particular problem statement. And that is about asking questions and gathering information and things like that. So, in my experience, I've seen that most of the insights or most of the problems, they lie in one of these P's. Okay, so it's either going to be a people problem, or a process problem, or a platform, or a price, or a performance, or a place, or some sort of placement or go to market situation. So if you really think about what you're solving for, you will probably be able to find it within one of these P's, right? Or a combination. But even if it's a combination, there'll be one very dominant one. And sometimes it's like a person, and the person is the problem. So you know that whatever you do, unless that person approves it or signs it, you're not going to be able to do it. So then you need to figure out, okay, fine, how do I convince this person? And like for example, there will be a situation where you'll find that you're presenting to the client really likes a solution, but the client goes back and then comes back and says that, hey, listen, this is not going to work, right? So that means there is somebody advising the client, um, you know, against the solution that you presented. So you need to then have that ability to talk to the client and get to the person who's actually influencing the client, and then understand that, okay, hey, why is this feedback coming in now, or where is this feedback coming from, or can I speak to the people, or can we make this demo or this presentation to that particular person and get some first hand experiences in, and things like that. Or you arm your client, your person, with more information and more prototypes and things that they can take to that person, and then convince them that, hey, no, listen, this is really, really good, right? So you need to be able to figure out where your problem is, right? And then be able to work on that. Because if you're just going to keep showing options after options to somebody, it's not really going to solve your problem, right? Because that means you're not really understanding the actual problem. The problem may be that you've misunderstood the aspiration or the expectation of your customer. Yeah. So this you can probably take down. You can take a screenshot, because I can guarantee you that whatever problem statement that you get, it will be one or a combination of these things that you will have to solve for at the end of the day. Yeah. Okay. So getting it right is on the way to getting it done. Um, this is stemming from Agile. It's a methodology for software development, which basically says that the best way to getting it right is to start working on the solution, is to start putting things together, is to start prototyping, is to start testing. You will not be able to go into a rabbit hole and come out with the perfect solution on your own and then wow the world. That will never happen. You have to be able to be courageous enough to take multiple hits, right? You will have to be able to have the courage to take a few rejections before you get that perfect solution. Most of the successful platforms, products, businesses that you see around in the world, they are not the first thing that the intended entrepreneur or the businessman or the company wanted to build. They got there after a lot of mistakes. They got there after a lot of failures, right? So you need to be able to have that hunger. You need to be able to have that courage to face that rejection, or that no, or that okay, not good enough, and keep going and keep building, and then keep saying that okay, how do I make this better? What is it that I missed? And this is when again I keep insisting on this: don't do this alone, right? Don't do this with just one or two people. Try and create a group of people who you can test stuff with, who you can talk to, who you know will give you, you know, honest feedback. Try and build relationships with the right kind of mentors in the industry who will be able to show you the right direction and things like that. So you need to keep building. You need to keep doing stuff to make sure that you get to the right solution. If you're going to be lazy, if you're not going to listen, you know, and if you're just going to turn your face away from, you know, what the actual thing is, then it's just going to be very frustrating. It's going to be very arduous, and you'll just probably take a lot more time and money to get to the right solution quickly. Yeah. Okay. So another question I see is Indian markets are not becoming adaptable easily. It's not Indian, man. I've worked all across the globe, and I can tell you, um, it's not just about us. It's about just being able to find the right problem, the most profitable solution, the quickest, you know, turnaround time, and things like that. So you'll hear this statement from anybody, anywhere in the world. It's about the quality of solution that you provide, right? It's about how good you are at being able to package that in a way that it's really impressive to the people you're talking to. So it's got nothing to do with India, right? Yes, the problems are way more complicated here as compared to, you know, a US or UK or other parts in Europe or the rest of the world, because we just have that many more people, and we just have that many more ideas and that many more personas. So it's definitely not easy, but I would say look at it the other way around. I mean, if you can solve it for India, you can probably solve it for anywhere in the world, right? And I find that really exciting. I mean, I find the complexity really challenging and motivating, to be honest. And you know, that's why I'm working at a telco where we have millions and millions of customers, and we have to, you know, serve them on a daily basis, and we get feedback from them, and we have to make sense out of that, and then, you know, turn that into solutions for them. I'll go back. Okay, one last bit. Never forget, never stress, never settle. Okay, and it's not easy. If you know how to do this, tell me how, because I'm 45 and I'm still figuring this stuff out. So I think it's extremely important that you, again, I'll go back to writing things down. I do a lot of writing. I have a lot of notes, and I have a lot of documents that I keep saving on my phone and on my laptop, because even if I forget, I go back to them, and I can figure out, okay, I got stuck on this particular thing in this assignment. Let me not make that mistake now. So if you're going to depend only on your ability to remember and only on your ability to understand, then I think you're going to limit yourself. So write a lot, so that you don't forget, and it's always reference points that you're there. Collaborate a lot so that, you know, people can tell you and they can keep you honest. Because there are times when you will forget and you will make mistakes, and there are other people who can tell you that, hey, no, this is not like this, it was like that. Don't be shy of, accepting a mistake or making a mistake. And again, obviously, at least I found this: don't stress, because stress is only crippling, right? There's a very powerful saying in Hindi that my grandmom used to tell me: "Put kaput kahe dhan sanche, put saput kahe dhan sanche," which basically means that if your kid is capable, you don't need to, really gather wealth for them, because they're capable. They'll do it on their own, and they'll be happy, and they'll rise anyway. And if your kid is incapable, then what's the point of really, collecting a lot of wealth, because they're going to just while it away and not be able to do the best that they can. So it's more about being able to understand what you have and how you can work with it, right? And because if you're stressed, then you will always focus on the incorrect solution, right? When you're stressed, you will always focus on a temporary solution, not a long-standing solution. So if you've got, like, for example, an incapable kid, just saving up and creating wealth may not be the solution. It may be figuring out, okay, fine, what is the kid capable in, right? If not this, then what else? And is there anything I can do to kind of focus on that strength, that skill, that passion, and help them grow in that particular direction, right? So and never settle is basically, again, it's an attitude, it's it's an approach. Always try and strive for excellence, always try and see what's the best that you can do in the time that you have and the resources that you have, right? If you get into the loop of, and at least this is probably more for myself, so I don't know, maybe you guys are wired differently, but with me what happens is, if I get into the loop of okay, I'm done, right? Okay, I'll take a pause here. Okay, I'll stop here. Then it just starts imploding, and then the quality of everything starts going down. So for me, to be on like the fifth gear at all the time is extremely important, because that makes sure that I'm going to be able to deliver the best that I can, or the best that is needed at that point in time. So I also then obviously recommend that. I'm not saying that burn yourself out, and then don't stress and don't settle at the same time is kind of a contradiction. But I think you really should try and do as good a job as you can. And once you've done that, don't stress about it, right? Once you've been able to deliver it, don't stress about it, right? Now, if you guys work out, then you know what a spotter does, right? When you're working out, a spotter is basically somebody who's outside, who's looking at you and seeing if you're doing it right, doing it wrong. So get a spotter, get somebody who's always going to be honest with you and is going to be able to tell you the way it is, and build the capability to be able to take feedback, just the way it comes. Don't be too rigid about, oh, I will take feedback if the person is talking to me like this, or is going to tell me like this, or is going to do this, because then you're the only one who's going to kind of miss out, right? You need to be able to build the capability to ignore the noise and see if there is feedback for me, great. If there isn't feedback, forget it, move on, right? All right. So I'm just kind of going to tell you what I again tell all my teams all the time. You are only going to be able to do the best if you do three things. Okay. Practice, practice, and practice, right? I think it's extremely important. And one of the points that I also made earlier is, you will only learn while you're doing. The learnings, the experiences that you go through stay with you a lot longer than just being academic, right? Academia is good. Get your degrees, get your certificates, and all that. But try and work as much as you can. Try and work as and try and scale with every assignment. Try and see if I can pick up a bigger assignment, a better assignment, or I can collaborate with somebody else. I can do business development through a different channel and things like that. Yeah. Again, I'm going to take a pause just in case if there are any questions. Once I'm happy to answer them.
100%.
Uh, Design, according to you, is important in bringing trust in a user. I is a UI, SDB, etc. Okay, I don't know what SDB is, to be honest. Um, Now, so there's a video that I just saw today, and I'll try and answer this question. This is Abhiram. Um, your end user, your customer doesn't care about your product. They don't care about how much time it took you to build the product. For them to trust your product or your service, for them to pay money for your product or your service, it needs to do its job, right? So I think it's not a part of design. Design can't alone help you build trust. Design can open that window, right? You can create a beautiful experience which can be something that a person gets attracted to and says, okay, fine, I'll download this app. Okay, fine, I'll go ahead and register. But at the end of the day, if it's not going to deliver the promise or the service or the experience that it's supposed to, they're going to immediately go back and delete the app and never look at you again. So I don't think you should put that much pressure on design. It's not design alone that can help you build trust. It is the entire experience. It is the deliverable of the product or the service. Is it actually able to do what the customer thinks it is supposed to do? Right? If that happens, then trust is built. See, customers are very much like you. Tomorrow, if you walk into a coffee shop and they say, "Oh, I mean, okay, fine, our coffee machine is not working, but we can serve you water. Why don't you come back tomorrow?" Chances of you going back tomorrow to the same shop for a coffee are going to be very, very low, right? Versus if you're just crossing by and you see a small coffee stall and you have a small cup of coffee, but you really love the taste and you get it instantly steaming hot in a nice neat glass, you'll definitely stop by that stall every time you cross that road. So it's not about design, it's about the experience. So please think beyond design to be able to build trust of the users. Okay, service design blueprint. Oh, okay. So again, it's not just about the service design. It's don't get caught up in artifacts. It's about, okay, what is the actual experience that you're promising to the user, right? And this is only going to come once you've used your service design blueprint, you've built the prototype, and you actually tested it with the customers. That is going to tell you in terms of the trust. So is it the right price? Is it the right language? Is it the right number of steps in terms of getting something done? That is going to help you build the trust, right? So it's a combination of things. It's not one thing. It's not the best designer cannot guarantee the success of a business, right? Or let me put it this way: the best designer can only guarantee so much success, right? Because the minute people start realizing that the product actually doesn't deliver, nothing like that is going to work, right? The recent branding exercise from Jaguar, right? They spent a huge amount of money. They did a new identity, and they got a lot of backlash from the community. So much so that now you don't see that anywhere. They've kind of rolled it back, and they're rethinking it from the beginning. So just design, or just the palette, or just the visuals, or just a story that they were, superficially trying to tell, it didn't work for them, right? At least it looks like it's not worked for them so far. Yeah. So try and think of the entire experience. Okay. So I'm going to go on. Just a quick recap of what I spoke about in the last 15, 20 minutes. Discipline is everything. It helps you make better decisions. Empathy comes with practice. Storytelling is very, very crucial to everything that you're going to do. Impact comes from insights from information, and information from asking questions, right? So if you really want to create impact and you really want to create very high quality experience products and businesses, you need to be able to ask a lot of questions. You need to be able to listen really, really well, remove yourself from the situation. Don't be emotional, be scientific, and all of that. Yeah. Getting it right is on the way to getting it done. You can only learn about the actual nuances, and the devil in the details once you build something, deliver it, and you see it work or you see it fail, and then you learn from it, and then you go back and you do a better job. Yeah. And the last one: never forget, never stress, never settle. So I think these things, if you're going to be able to put together, you'll really be able to. One of my mentors told me, do great work and have fun doing it. And I think these 6, 7 things have been able to help me do that. I've really enjoyed my journey in that sense, and I think that my teams and I have been able to deliver some really good products and services successfully, and that's only been because we're very clear in the way we approach things. We're very clear in the way we work with each other. We're very clear in terms of why we are doing what we are doing, and how can we bring value to everybody, first from the customer backwards all the way to us. Yeah. Okay. Um, how do we bring storytelling in our solutions? I mean, that's a very long question. I'll try and cover that, as we go through. Now, a couple of things, a couple of books that I want you guys to read, books that changed my life, books that are beautiful stories, books that, help you get a lot of structure. Take this down. These are still available. This is a very, very old book. One of the most beautiful stories that I've read. And then there are a couple other books that I want you guys to read. Things that will help you understand human psychology, things that will help you understand the ways to work, the processes, that are being used by really successful teams to build multi-million dollar, billion-dollar businesses, right? And Zero to One, again, a phenomenal book on people who are trying to get started, or people who are working with new ideas, and are really excited about building the future, as we say. Yeah. Okay. So simple exercise that I think. Sorry, did you beep
No, sir, no.
once? Oh, okay. A very simple exercise that we'll do, where now I think with respect to the competition that you guys are going to be, getting your hands on. So if you were to pick a problem statement, which is as simple as, okay, let's pick an app and let's see how we can improve that app, and then how can we improve the adoption of the app and the engagement on the app and things like that, right? This we've covered, so I'll move on. So one of the things that you need to kind of figure out, if we take, for example, any app that you want, whether it's a WhatsApp or an email, you can break it into three big core, things, and the real innovation, the real power actually is right in the center somewhere. Again, this is content that you'll see online. You can take a snapshot of this, and you can try and see various different companies that have been able to deliver some successful solutions based on this. But what you need to figure out is, what is the desirability of that particular product or solution? What is a viability? And in viability, I'm talking about, is it cheap to build? Is it easy to build? Is it quick to build? And things like that. And will people pay for it? At the end of the day, and how much do you need to be able to charge from somebody? How much money will you make? Will you be able to sustain the business and things like that? And this is again things that you need to be able to do with people. Doing all of this on your own is probably going to be difficult. The desirability part of it, as a designer, you'll be able to crack, but understanding if it is viable as a business, understanding if it is feasible as a solution, you will need to be able to talk to people in technology, in production, woodworking, metalworking. I don't know what product and service you're trying to build, but you should be able to go out of your comfort zone and have those conversations, right? Those will be the ones that will be most successful. Okay. So what are people saying? What are people doing? What are they feeling? That's going to tell you about the desirability, right? Is there a business here? Is it sustainable? That's going to tell you about the viability. And in the crux of how soon, how expensive, how scalable it is for you to deliver and for people to experience it, is going to be able to tell you, the feasibility of it. And in the middle of all of that is where, you're going to find some of the most innovative solutions, something that is desirable, that's something that is convertible into a business, and something that is an idea, a service, a product that people are willing to pay for, right? How does it improve their life, and what value does it bring to them, and lots of that. So like I said, in terms of whatever problem statement that you get in this competition, look at these 6-7 places. You'll find most of your ideas, most of your powerful ideas in one of these 6-7 places, or a combination of this. And the idea, or the journey that you need to really follow, the path that you need to follow, is deconstruct the product or service. Okay. So if you have to design something, you have to build something, really figure out what part of this is design, what part of this is technology, what part of this is a different skill set, and try and get those skill sets into the room, and work with people. That's where you'll be able to uncover the opportunities. Work with your customer, get a few customers in the room, right? Whatever problem statement that you get, like for example, if you get a problem statement in healthcare, and if you have to design an app for diabetics, then go figure out diabetics around you in your ecosystem, like in your family, in your neighborhood. Go to the nearest doctor, go and talk to them, tell them, okay, what are the problems that you're facing, what does your day look like, how does your body feel throughout the day, and things like that. Understand what they're thinking, feeling, right? And that's where the real opportunities will come back. And then take that to the technology person, take that to the doctor, and say that, hey, listen, this is what I heard. What does this really mean? How much do you charge? How much do they pay? How often do they have to come to you? So these kind of questions, talking to multiple people in the ecosystem, that will help you deconstruct the product and really bring out the opportunities. Once that starts happening, you will automatically start seeing that, oh, okay, so if I build a solution which helped you talk to your doctor without having to go and meet them every day, Uh, would that help you? Okay, great. So instead of paying the doctor $500 a month or $2,000 a month that you might be paying them, would it be okay if there was a way that, for say 75 rupees a month, you could get a lot of content from the doctor, or you could get a lot of advice, or you could get a lot of help, without having to travel and things like that. So those kind of small things will start coming out, and when they start coming out, then you know that okay, fine. Then you can wireframe them, quickly make a prototype, go to a doctor and say that, hey, listen, does this make sense? Right? Would you be interested if I could get you 1,000 customers who paid you 75 rupees every month, and all you had to do was, I could use AI to simplify their questions, and you answer 5 questions every weekend, right? So you could make 75,000 bucks or 50,000 bucks every weekend by answering 5 or 10 questions from a community of people, right? So there's an idea right there, there's a product right there, there's willingness to pay right there. So deconstruct the product, talk to a lot of people, articulate the impact, and when I say articulate the impact, like that's what I meant when you go to the doctor and you say that, hey, here is the opportunity, right? Here is the value, right? And that's where the storytelling will come out. And then see, okay, will you sign up for a service like this, right? If you sign up for a service like this, would you pay, like, say, 100 rupees a month for an app like this, right? Where for every 5 questions you get paid whatever amount of money, right? And then depending on the experience of the doctor, you could actually increase the price, or the membership plan and things like that. So while I'm talking to you guys, there is, I think, a product idea that's actually coming into my head, that for diabetics, is there a way that we can create some sort of an ecosystem? Then illustrate the how, which is what I said. Create a quick prototype. Use Lovable, use the new AI features in Figma, and there are so many other tools that are and then build out the prototype, take it to people, see their feedback, and and prove the success, right? And then put it together, and then that you've now got a very strong business in place. And what started off maybe just as designing a screen or a product is actually now a full-on business that you can pitch to an investor, or you can start putting money in and start building it. Yeah. So the kind of things that you can solve for, depending on the problem statement again that you get, some of the key big things in the digital space. Look at acquisition, look at problems in acquisition, look at problems in onboarding. A lot of times you have a really great product, but you've not done a very good job of bringing customers in, being able to communicate the value to them. Look at payments, look at, when a customer will pay, who will pay, how much will they pay, how easy is it to pay, what is the incentive for them to pay, and things like that. There's a lot of good ideas and business around that. Think about stickiness, think about loyalty. How do I get a membership program going? How do I get a reward system going so my customer comes back to me uh, as often as possible? And there are lots of ideas there that can help you. Think about automation and intelligence. Think about how can I make the process faster, simpler, intuitive. It's like today when you're writing an email on Gmail. I mean, it's a little spooky, to be honest, if you ask me. But when I'm writing the email, Gmail is already giving me recommendations which are very tuned to the way I would have replied. Right. So it's kind of learned my pattern, my understanding, my emotional intelligence, and all that, and it's giving me feedback accordingly. So there's a lot of solutions in that space that can help you, build really amazing service and items. And obviously the last one is revenue. You have to think about revenue. I think it's a big misnomer that designers think that their job is just to build the experience. If you're not thinking revenue, if you're not thinking the end game for the client, for the customer, for your business, it's not going to work. It's not going to survive. Let me put it that way. It may work for a really short period of time, but then it's going to fall flat. Yeah. So again, you can take a screenshot of this. This is lots of areas that you can look at building your solutions for the statements that you might get from Vansh. One last time, what's the problem? Who's facing the problem? Where is the opportunity? Again, questions that you can put down, because this is going to really help you deconstruct the opportunity and come up with some really cool ideas. Ask these questions to not just designers, to people in technology, to your actual customers. I think it's going to really, really help you. And how will we achieve this, and when will we celebrate? So I think The when will be celebrated is again a very, very important bit. In your case, it is going to be when you get the check for 1,50,000 as the prize money. But in real life, it's basically when your customer actually lands up paying you, when you land up getting enough number of customers paying you, that's when you really start celebrating, right? And you keep that cycle going so that you have continuous reasons to celebrate again and again. Again, I've put down those 7 P's there so that I really want to nail that into you guys. Look at these things. Look at, is it a people problem? Is it a process problem? Is it a platform problem? Where exactly can I find the solutions for this particular problem statement that I have at hand? That's going to really, really help you bring that out. Yeah. Okay, just the last bit. Who should I work for? You need to think about, draw this diagram for yourself. Am I working for business? Am I working for the technology guy? Am I working for, the customer? Am I working for legal? Well, you're working for everyone, right? You just need to figure out at what point who you're working for. Your end game is the customer because that's the person who's going to pay you. But everybody else is also like a semi customer for you because they're going to help you make your dream come true, right? So for you to think that you're just working for the customer, no, that's an illusion, right? You're working for everybody around you who's helping you build this solution or this particular thing. So understanding your stakeholders is extremely important. Yeah. I'll skip this one because this is going to take time. But yeah, I mean, again, try and understand how to prioritize, how to manage your product, your process, and your project. I think it's very, very important that you don't try to do everything on your own. I think you're allowed to build teams in this particular challenge of this competition. So I would say, pick your teammates and try and pick multiple skill sets and not just design. See how you want to go about that, right? And this is just again, you can Google this very strong framework to help you understand what should I do, what should I get my team to do, when should I do what, how do I prioritize my tasks so that I can deliver everything in time and really create a powerful solution. Yeah. So what do I schedule next? What's important? What's urgent? What should I delegate? What should I not do? A lot of times, and I do this all the time where I write down, I make the list, and then I land up realizing, okay, like these three things, I don't need to do them, right? I think it's just something that I thought that I should do or I have to do, but I don't need to do them. And this comes from practice. Saying no to yourself, I think, is a very, very challenging thing for us. But if you make the list and you do this enough, it becomes easier over time. Yeah. And I can tell you it's extremely important. Who do I work for? Who should I work for? Again, people who I can monitor. How do I work and how do I make sure that I create the most powerful solutions? And how do I manage people? Who do I need to manage closely? Who do I need to really satisfy? Who do I need to just keep updated? They're not really important, but they, could create an influence. So I need to keep them updated. And who do I need to monitor? Because the weak people in my team, how do I monitor them? Who do I, and how much do I monitor them so that I can make sure that they don't become a challenge or an issue at the time of delivery. So again, something that helps you manage your stakeholders. So you guys can take screenshots of this. It can really help you. Talk to stakeholders, make lists, prioritize and shortlist, make and check, build and showcase. Yeah, I mean, I think we've covered this, so I can skip this one. Um, when you're making your presentation, when you're making your final deck, right? I think this will help you when you're doing your submissions for the competition. I think paint a picture, right? That this is the problem statement. Like get people to feel that problem statement. So paint that picture, highlight the problem that this is the true pain that people are facing, and this is what we need to solve because this is really causing a lot of issues. And put some numbers around it. Try and do some research around how big a problem this is, and how much of an opportunity there is will come out of that, right? So show the opportunity, save the day with the solution. Say that, okay, fine, here is a problem, here is the opportunity. It's a such a big opportunity. It's going to help people save so much money or make so much money or be so much healthier, and that's the solution, right? And then kind of reveal the business around it. So and then so okay, this is the business around this whole thing. This is a company that's going to make it's going to change the world and it's going to put a dent in the universe in this particular manner, right? So it's just a framework of how you can submit your pitches for the particular competition. Yeah, I think this is the last bit. I'm going to take a pause here. It's time for feedback. It's time for questions. So I'm now going to look at the chat. Guys, please feel free to send me questions that you have. Okay, I'm looking at Sanjana Prasad. How to learn to stop ourselves from thinking about the solution beforehand when still in the design thinking process? That's a lovely question. I think why? Why are you trying to stop yourself from thinking of the solution? If you're thinking of the solution, write it down, put it aside. Go, right? Don't try to stop yourself from doing anything. Just make a note of it. That okay, this is what I'm thinking. Put it aside. You know what will happen over a period of time? You'll realize there are a lot of the premature solutions that you're thinking of. They're anyway not relevant. They anyway will not work. So you automatically, your brain will get wired to stop doing that. You'll automatically start thinking of solutions only when you have enough information. So what I would say is that don't try and force yourself to doing something. Okay. So what I would tell you is that just write down the idea, put it aside. When you have more information, go back and check it. If it works, great. So if you get into the habit of coming up with solutions that are actually positive and really amazing really quickly, then that will encourage you, and that'll probably sharpen your problem solving skills, and it will give you the confidence of picking up more complex solutions. And if you see that you're not good at coming up with solutions early, then your brain will automatically start being like, okay, abhi nahi, ruk jao, करेंगे ये, we'll come to this. But it's practice. It's basically practice and nothing else. Yeah, it's not like there's no one word answer or one line answer to this that's going to switch you from changing that tonight and tomorrow morning you're going to be fine. So I would say put in a lot of work, put in a lot of thought, and I think you should be fine. All right. Any reason for using baby pictures? The babies that you see in my presentation are my kids, and one asked me the same question before the presentation. This is my way of feeling like I'm with them and they're with me. I don't get as much time with them because I'm pretty much workaholic. So this is a way for me to stay connected with them. I feel like I'm doing my bit by making them a part of my work and my life. Okay. Next one. As a beginner, it's hard to find the potential user, and if you find anyone won't take you seriously because you are not certified by a big brand. Well, Prince, that is going to be a challenge. Yes, I mean, but you just got to try and then reach out to more people, right? If you're thinking that the first 8 people that you talk to are going to be your users or they are going to spend the time, well, it's your objective, not theirs, right? So talk to 20 people, and then you might get like 5 or 6 people. Why are you stopping at 8, or why are you expecting the first 3 people to give you the answer? Life isn't that easy, man. So I would just say that talk to a lot more people, man. And if you're thinking that nobody wants to talk to you, get somebody else to talk to them, right? Try and figure out that. For example, I had a startup in the raising children space, and I remember my partner and I, every time we want to try and talk to the mothers and get feedback and all that, we realize that they're not talking to us, and then we realize we're being stupid because we're men, and women typically may or may not be very comfortable talking to us directly about their child and their family and things like that. So we immediately got a couple of female colleagues, and we said that, hey, listen, you know what, we're really facing an issue with the research bit. Can you guys really go ahead and do this for us? And they were like, hey, but we are not researchers, we don't know how to do this, we don't know what questions to ask. And we said, okay, you know what, just do it. We'll come back, we'll sit at the next table, and we'll make observations and things like that. Or you can tell them that we're your juniors and we want to record the conversation and things like that. And that's how we did research. So figure out a way, be innovative about, you're a designer, you're talking about being innovative. So figure out different ways to get to your solution. If your solution is getting feedback and you've identified that they only respond to brands, or to different people, then try and figure out who in that particular brand can actually help you get that conversation going. There are so many times when I've gone to offices for 3, 4, 5 days at a stretch, sat at the reception for like hours to get 20 minutes from somebody. And like on the third day, I've basically worn them down, them seeing me sit there all throughout the day, do my work all throughout the day just for 20 minutes. So who's stopping you? It's you, right? You're expecting people to answer your question the first time you ask it. It doesn't work like that. Not always, you know. Okay. Next one. Can AI take over design thinking and humanizing part of design? Please explain. Wow. I think that's a longish answer. I don't think AI can take over design thinking, but I really, and I think some of it is already happening. AI can definitely help you summarize stuff. Okay, AI can definitely help you sharpen your focus, and so you could, for example, if you've done 30 conversations and you've got 1 hour interviews, so you've got 30 hours. Now for you to listen to 30 hours again would be difficult, but you could put this into a tool and say that, hey, listen, can you create a sentiment map for me? Right? AI can definitely do that. So, I mean, I don't know what's there in the future. Maybe there would be an AI tool that could do research for you, and that would be the day. I mean, that'll be amazing. But as of now, there definitely are tools. I don't think we should be scared of them. We should try and figure out a way to use them. Stop worrying about being replaced. The only people who have to worry about being replaced is people who don't know what they're doing, right? Or people who don't want to change, or people who don't want to learn, or people who don't want to evolve. Don't, right? If you're talking about design, if you're talking about design thinking, and you're talking about creating stuff, you will always be on the journey to learn. So learn these tools that can help you summarize content, summarize emotions, right? And then build on top of that, right? So don't worry about it replacing you, but think about how amazing it is if you get empowered by AI tools that can help you do research better. Okay. How do you effectively document the process so that we don't forget? It's going to happen over time. There's no strict framework that you're going to be able to just use to become a genius. I think what's going to happen is, so if you see my early notes were just like 2 line sentences on a Word doc, right? I would just write the date, and I would say like I had a conversation with Varun, for example, and here are 3 things that I spoke to Varun about. And I would just write down things that I particularly liked or learned or didn't like. So I would just write that and I would forget about it, right? And on weekends, I would just go back and I would see the notes that I've written for that week, right? To say, okay, is there anything? And if there's nothing, then I would delete the note. And if there is something, then I would like make it bold and I would keep it there, and things like that. So that's how I started. Then now I have folders for various different things. I have inspiration boards. I have mood boards. I have great articles linked in a bookmark and things like that. So I've got a fairly complicated system. But what I would recommend is you start and you figure out your way, right? And I'm pretty sure you will figure out a system that works for you. But I started with simple lists. I love Excel. I'll admit, wholeheartedly, it's really helped me plan projects better, plan finances better. It's really helped me map out timelines, communicate project plans, all of those things. So I would say give it a shot. It's really, really a great tool, other than all the other financial magic that you can create on it. But simply from even organizing yourself, structuring yourselves, it's a great tool. It helps you start thinking in columns and rows, right? And so that's basically trying to put some structure, some science to the right brain side of things that you have to work on. How often do you document stuff? Well, I document if I find something exciting, interesting, I document. So, don't be surprised if you see me taking notes in the middle of a presentation or the middle of a conversation, or just switching on a recorder and saying that, hey, listen, can we record this, because I think this is a really interesting conversation that we're having, obviously with permission and all that, because it's not legal and not right to record people without their knowledge. So I mean, I don't think there is any framework there. Over a period of time, you learn to ignore stuff, delete stuff, and you start getting better. But then again, I'll go back to practice, practice, practice. You do it enough number of times, you do it, with enough number of people, and I think you just get better. Okay, what's the difference between a research done by a product designer, a product manager? Is there a borderline about where PM should stop or a design? No, man. I sorry, Aman. I'm not somebody who. Um, Research is a skill. Okay, it doesn't come from your technical capability of whatever, right? It comes from, have you been able to practice listening enough? So a product manager could actually be a much better researcher than you, right? So I don't think there's a start and stop that, hey, you ask these three questions and I'll ask these two questions. And no, I think and it's actually a great idea to go and do research with a product manager, right? There we've done this so many times where we've had developers sitting with us and talking to customers, right? So what happens is, you may be the person conducting the conversation and asking all the questions, but the developer there could be taking notes and getting some really great ideas, right? They could be getting some really phenomenal ideas while you're talking to the customer, and then when the customer leaves, we've had some amazing conversations. The developers like, holy shit, dude, I've got these 5 things that I figured out. How ye bhi kar sakte hain, wo bhi kar sakte hain. Arey usko ye chahiye, main to yahan tak kar sakta hu, and all of those things. So don't get territorial about research, right? Just because it says design research doesn't mean a designer does it, right? Design research, design thinking is not property of designers. So please be a little more open about this, and be inclusive. I said that in one of my slides. The more you try to work with people, the more you try to work with different skills, you'll see how good you will become, right? And the more you try to say, ये मेरा काम है, ये मैं करूंगा, तुम मैं में ही फंस जाओगे, then your growth is going to be just about that much. So I would say, work with as many people as you can, and you'll really get a lot of value out of it.
All right.
What AI tools sorry, yeah.
So sorry, sir, to cut you. But I have one question for you. The question is a bit
Uh,
for the people who we have here. Obviously, the conversation can go anywhere. Guys love the questions, by the way. Respect for you guys, and obviously our legendary
yeah,
man
some
on the
phenomenal questions, I agree.
yeah, our legendary man here, Nikalank sir, is already answering them in his way, and that's what I love about Nikalank sir, is that he's just authentic, and like you cannot find
Thanks, buddy.
answers like him anywhere on Insta or anywhere you go, because they are scripts. Sir don't write scripts. Sir gives truth bombs. Sir gives real life advice. And I have done so many things with Niklang sir. Like I have like shot so many. I have like shot 2 podcasts already with him. I have shot 3-4 episodes, and now he's in the jury with you guys, and he's the jury member. So one question, sir. What tips will you have
Yeah.
for the people here, if like if you were in a designathon, what will you do? And like if some tips for the people for this designathon specifically, and then we'll end this. Guys, I have pinned Niklang sir's LinkedIn, so उनको जाके connect कर सकते हो आप, उनको जाके आप social I'll send his Insta also, because the problem is wait, the session is live, right? Yeah, I think it is live. Perfect. So make sure to ask questions later on, like in terms of other than designathon, because this conversation can go for hours and hours. So sorry to like stop it in the middle, because sir ko bhi like rest chahiye, and like that's how things are planned, because we have a next session coming up. Sir, go ahead with
Yeah.
the tips.
What would I do if I was taking part in a designathon? So I would create my cheat sheet, right? I would try and see, how can I think differently from everybody else in the competition, right? So the minute I would get my problem statement, I would try and see who all can I reach to, okay, who can really really bring value. Like for example, अगर healthcare है, तो healthcare में, if there is a problem statement that you're giving out, then I would talk to everybody in that ecosystem, because most designers would tend to not do it for time reasons, access reasons, or whatever. I would try and see How can I get access to a doctor? How can I get access to a sales guy? How can I get access to a pharmacist? How can I get access to actual patients, right? How can I get access to insurance companies? So I would try and map out their entire ecosystem कि यार इस problem statement में कौन कौन participant है, because I know for a fact that most of the magical ideas will come from listening to all of them and being able to summarize that into a solution. So that would be my cheat sheet. I would try and get to people internationally. ये अगर internationally हो रहा है क्या? Like, is there something like this that exists in any other country? And is there something that I can learn from that? And I would compare it to other what do you call industries? Like I said, one of the things मैं एक सवाल हमेशा ये पूछता हूँ. In 2007, can you tell me the brand that sold the maximum number of cameras? Okay. And most people will say Nikon, most people will say Sony, or Kodak, or Konica, or Fuji, or whatever. The company that changed the world in 2007 or 2008, whenever it was launched, was Nokia sold the maximum number of cameras. When Nokia put a camera on a phone, they were the first ones to put a camera on a phone, I think. And when they put a camera on a phone, it was a really bad resolution camera. It was 786 p or something like that. Matlab, it was not even a megapixel, yeah. And you couldn't tell the difference between a goat and a cow and a dog. And everybody laughed, and they were like, "Hey, what the hell is the point in a camera on a phone? Who needs a camera on a phone? And this is so stupid," and blah blah blah. But today, would you buy a phone without a camera? You wouldn't buy a phone without 6 cameras. You would want 3 in the back and 2 in the front and 1 on the side and all kinds of things, right? So and that only happened because somebody somewhere said, "Hey, listen, let's put a camera on a phone," when both of them were individually great products. So that's how I would try to cheat in a competition, where I would be like, okay, fine, what magic can I bring to this? Where can I go outside that boundary box to be able to deliver a phenomenal experience or a solution? So my tip to you would be, in a design competition, in a designathon, don't let design limit you. ठीक है?
Crazy. So बीच में I don't know what happened. OBS just stopped, but we got this recorded and everything. So it's there. It's been going. Yeah. So I think आपके side से भी end हो गई होगी. So you can, like, is it still going? Can you still see the chat?
The chat, no.
Yeah, so the link that I've sent you, you can just go and re-click that. Like, close YouTube from your phone in the background also, and click on the link once again, and you will be able to see the chat. All right.
Yeah.
So you can stop sharing also.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Can I log off now, or what's?
Yes.
Are we done?
Yeah, we are done. We are done. Thank you so much, Nikalank sir, for doing this, for this session also, and the upcoming jury also. It is always
Anytime, buddy. All the best. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Thank
all
you so
the
much.
best to all your participants.
Let's take a quick photo and then we'll let you go. Give me 1 second. I have Akasa here on the back.
Sorry, it's like really late in the evening, so my hair is all over the place and all that.
No, you Hrithik Roshan fail hai. 3, 2, 1, go. Thank you so much, sir. All the best.
Cheers, buddy.
All the best to everyone. Guys, wait. Sir, you can leave. I have to talk to them.
Cheers, guys. All the best, man, to everybody. Good night.
All right. I'm really sorry, guys, for the interruptions in the middle. Am I audible? Am I clearly audible? Press 1 if you can hear me. Bring back, call all your teammates. So sorry, there's okay. I don't know if you guys can see this. There is a drop frame rate of, there is like 10% frame rate cut drop. And that's because it's raining since morning in Mumbai. And I landed in Mumbai and it was like crazy landing. ऐसे हो रहा था भाई plane. ऐसा लगा था गया अभी अच्छा Air India नहीं रहा है ना. I'm just kidding. And thank you all so much. I hope you took away a lot of stuff from Nikalank sir over here. I know my video is jittering, but my voice is clear and I can hear it. So The logic is today was the day one, and yesterday was sort of a day zero. So for the folks who don't know what happened yesterday, it was a session on design systems by Rajat Patel. So we'll send the link once more. So what I have done is, uh, now that YouTube works, and I saw that there were some issues regarding ads. So मैं वो disable करना भूल गया था जल्दी जल्दी में. I was creating a link. So what I'll do is, because it's a hidden feature in YouTube, and YouTube बहुत शाना है, ठीक है. उसने एकदम कोने में रख रखा है UX, ताकि लोग, by obviously now YouTube earns a lot of money through ads. Ads is what gets YouTube going. So I will disable that for the upcoming stream. This stream will end now. The second session will start dot at 9 p.m. Take a 30-minute break. Tell your branding people, and if you are even from UX side, make sure that they also join. सब लोग आओ सीखो, because don't be dependent on anyone. This will be my tip for you guys for the Designathon. If you are the chapter lead, and even if you are a normal person in your specific team, make sure that you are accountable to your work that you're doing, and you are responsible for the whole team, right? I in the like in the season one, I saw like a lot of backlash on, hey, my teammate left in the middle and that and this. See, obviously as a host, that's not in my hand, but it's my responsibility to talk to you guys and understand what went wrong and everything. एंड पता है, निकलांग सर एक बहुत अच्छी चीज़ बोलते हैं हमेशा थी कि यार, communication solves everything. Difference between a plant and a human is we can speak and plants cannot, right? So that's the difference. So make sure you guys are communicating. The Designathon will mainly, like, the competition will kick off on 2nd. This is just the prepping season. These 2 days are going to be for prepping you guys for the main competition. And make sure, yeah, that even if your teammates like, I hope सब लोगों ने अपने personal WhatsApp groups बना ली हैं of their teams. If you don't have team, the teams will be individual teams will be ready by 2nd. So जितने भी लोग individual हैं, we'll send the form link again. The form is open till 2nd. The people who so the problem statements also goes live, or I think 9 p.m. ko will be dropping. I'll give you the exact time. 9 p.m. We will drop all the problem statements with the people टीम. सारी टीम्स जो हैं, जिनको मिली है, विल गिव द नेम्स एंड एवरीथिंग, एंड नंबर्स के साथ. सो यू कैन, इफ ऑब्वियसली यू कैन जस्ट क्लिक ऑन द शीट, check where your name is, locate that, and check what teammates you have gotten, and DM them, right? And get together and take initiative, start ideating, because the major issue is, if you don't have a team till 2nd, you are slightly on a back, like क्या बोलते हैं उसको, you'll slightly start on a bit delayed end, because you need to understand each and everyone in your team also. So that's why it's always a better advantage to connect to as many people as possible, right? All the best. अरे वाह, वापस से end हो गई है. Yeah, it's jittering. It's jittering. I'm really sorry, guys. Thank you all so much. And yeah, that's it. That's about it. And I'll see you at 9 p.m. now. Cheers.